So another very important stream of investment in green energy that we want to talk today is also the hydrogen fuel cell technology. If you look at the Big Bang announcement that Reliance made in its AGM, where it announced 4 large gigawatt factories producing solar photovoltaic cells. Along with that, they also announced that they'll be making large scale investments in also hydrogen. So the cumulative investment of 75,000 crores, they'll go into manufacturing 4 gigafactories. One of them is going to be the hydrogen fuel cell technology, right? And if you look at conglomerates like Reliance, who have large power needs, they also want a lot of their consumption needs to come from either solar photovoltaic or from green fuel hydrogen, because in a lot of applications that makes more sense to them, and hence splitting up between these two power needs is something which Reliance is also very conscious about and is planning the future for it. And globally also, large conglomerates like Walmart, Amazon have for their power needs in stationary data centers and other applications, in fact, preferred hydrogen fuel and are developing a lot of these data centers which will be incrementally be fueled by hydrogen fuel cell, and which becomes a very important component to solve in the whole totality of the technologies that we need to convert towards net zero goals which major corporations or countries around the world have. So forming a worldview that only solar would be the technology, or only hydrogen would be the technology, or only wind would be the technology would be something as an error that anyone can commit. In fact, a combination of all these technologies come together will deliver the net zero targets, and wherein hydrogen also, though is an emerging fuel, but a very important fuel in that nature and hence cannot be ignored. And if you look at, in fact, combination of solar power which would be used as a power to generate hydrogen would be very, very important, because if other sources of power are used, then it would not be a green hydrogen, and hence the hydrogen fuel cell technology will not serve the net zero emission targets for most of these companies and most of these countries. So if you look at the fuel cell technology, it predominantly needs to have the solar technology making or converting the hydrogen, and then the hydrogen as a fuel being used to convert the chemical energy into the electricity, which will be used in a lot of applications.
अगर आप ये वीडियो देख रहे हो तो इसका मतलब ये है कि आप स्टॉक मार्केट ट्रेडिंग और इन्वेस्टिंग में इंटरेस्टेड हो। अगर आपको बहुत सारी ट्रेडिंग स्ट्रैटेजीज सच एज अल्गो ट्रेडिंग, फंडामेंटल एनालिसिस, टेक्निकल एनालिसिस के बारे में और जानना है, देन हेड ऑन टू Upsurge.club, जहाँ पे हमने हर कैटेगरीज के बारे में कोर्सेज बनाए हैं।
So hydrogen is not just standalone giving a competition to solar, but in fact both the powers are combining each other to deliver a lot of application needs in storages, in data centers, and a lot of applications of the industry. Case in point, a company like MTAR, which has been at the forefront of developing a lot of methane-based boxes, energy boxes for Bloom Energy, is now converting that business to hydrogen, and in fact developing electrolyzers for Bloom Energy, and 60% of its revenue, which is driven by the clean fuel business, is going to incrementally go higher, because it is focusing more to develop this electrolyzer technology for Bloom Energy and other clients, wherein going forward, because of such engineering capabilities that are required, this company enjoys high margin, whereas most of the technology brunt is being taken care by the Bloom Energy investors. And this is the common trend that we've been talking about again and again, that you don't want to bear the brunt of innovation which most of these giants are taking. In fact, in India, we are blessed to have companies and entrepreneurs who have made business models to benefit out of these technology giants and provide them a service or a component which becomes a very good way of earning high return on capital employed businesses. Take the case studies of all these large technology giants that came from India, service companies like TCS, Infosys, or an HCL Tech. All these became tech providers to, or support providers to, the large technology giants like an Amazon or a Facebook, or these large giants which were listed on the NASDAQ, wherein maybe the multiplier of the wealth effect may be more over there, but the chances of losses were also higher. So the dot-com bubble killed almost 90-95% of the enterprises in the US which were in the new tech business. But in India, whichever software company were present, lot many have still survived and thrived, and over the past 2 decades, in fact, been multi-baggers, right? So similarly, if you look at any technology which is being maybe born out of US, but if you have a technology provider which is in India supporting them, the business model thrives better. In fact, they have proven in the past that they can pivot their business model and still survive and supply that product to some other company, even if the company that they were supplying doesn't survive, right? So that is where, if you look at the dependence of MTAR on Bloom, is very high, because 60% of its revenue which comes from clean energy business, it has almost one client which is Bloom, which is almost 90-95% of its business. And going forward also, the incremental business is coming from Bloom in terms of the hydrogen boxes and the hydrogen electrolyzers. But that in a way can be pivoted if there is a Plug Power or some other company takes over, and there can be a supplier shift that can happen, and MTAR can still maybe survive, not get completely wiped out, as in the case in the past has been seen, where the tech giants get wiped out if they are on the wrong side of the technology, but the service provider still survives or the contractor still survives, right? So MTAR over here is in a way working on two very important technologies. It is also working in space, and 30% of his business which is coming from space, and other technologies which we can maybe discuss, but then that is not what we are here concerned with. What we are concerned with, the 60-70% of the business which is clean energy and nuclear power, which again we believe can be the driving force of the cash flows for this company, and the engineering prowess for over the years that this company has been able to achieve. Scaling up the revenue from here may be faster than what it has done in the past, because if you look at both in terms of hydrogen and in nuclear, a lot of developments got made. Sometimes it went in the backdrop because these development got stalled, because in nuclear you had a Fukushima that went bust in Japan, and then all these European countries taking a back step in terms of nuclear power. But the past year again has had this debate that in a power crisis situation that happened in Europe post the Russia war, whether nuclear should be brought back or not, and a lot of countries again in the Europe are starting up the processes of again fueling their nuclear power capacities, because that is where a very large portion of their energy demand can be satisfied if they are run efficiently and without much disasters. Because if you look at the impact or that nuclear power or the efficiency of nuclear power, in fact it is one of the best amongst the clean energy fuels that we've seen. But the problem of security has always pushed back on governments, and private sector has always shied away because of the large investments needed in this space. But with Bill Gates and other large philanthropists of the world focusing again on nuclear power, and countries also wanting to maybe come back to nuclear, that can be another interesting space where only 12-13% of revenue of MTAR is coming from nuclear energy, which can be scaled up if the nuclear energy business in the world improves. And in fact, the hydrogen part, which already has a lot of backing of the government and doesn't have the confusion like a nuclear power, is a clear runway if it can achieve more clients in that business. And that is where, if we think about the whole effect of the combination of various technologies, what it can do to business models of particular companies, is a very interesting study to understand all these businesses standalone, all these technologies standalone, and then find out engineering companies which are either maybe creating a hybrid in terms of also hydrogen, also solar, also nuclear, can be very interesting, because it is the engineering capability that they are developing which can be replicated in various segments, and that can give superior returns even if the technology that they were trying to solve are not growing that well, because of the whole funding situation that is there in the US might face some problems going forward because the interest rates have gone sky high, right? But if we believe that the engineering prowess is there, maybe Bloom or maybe Plug Power or maybe some other company can deliver that growth. And there have been examples in a lot of other engineering or electronic manufacturing companies based out of India, where they've gotten contracts for maybe providing a bus bar, for example, in case of a KDDL, where it has emerged its precision engineering component division. It has started delivering bus bars to a guy like Tesla, and that business is growing. Maybe case in point, Centum Electronics, which is starting to give a lot of engineering services to and component services to a plug power, and is growing. As the growth of plug power is taking shape, the growth of a particular part of the business of Centum is also taking a good shape. And these can be small businesses right now, but they can scale up a lot and can completely change the profile of a Centum, which is a more defense oriented guy, to maybe a company which can provide the electronics and power mechanics services to the plug powers of the world. And the business can pivot, because the sales that the company is currently doing is in a way easy to be influenced more by the high growth segments in a KDDL or in a Centum or maybe in MTAR, which already has a higher portion of sales coming out of these verticals. Hence my proposition over here is that look for the engineering services or the electronic services part of businesses in India, which can grow to be a supplier of these large scale changes that are happening in terms of what energy needs of the world are going to be. And if they are going to be very much flexible and have a lot of combinations of these various clean fuel technologies, then you need an executor over here to mix and match and deliver the products. And that is where the engineering prowess of India and Indian engineers, we believe, if in the software industry we've seen over the years delivering them so well, in the hardware also the techniques that are required or the skills that are required are already there. We need a scale to happen in these businesses also to give them that operating leverage kick, and then it can the ball can be set rolling and the companies can prosper and bring back a lot of shareholder returns going forward. So this is again a very interesting set of technology which we believe globally companies are targeting, and locally we have these companies which are in a way coming and trying to address their needs and deliver them market fit products to grow and prosper. Thank you so much.